Welcome to my hero's journey for the habits of mind, Badge 2, Individual Practitioner, The Legend of Continuous Learning. My name is Wendy Marsh. This is a fictional story told in 6 parts. Part 1, Village, Problems Arising. In an olden village, there lived 76 children and their families. During the most horrid COVID times, they had to stay indoors with their parents. When the pandemic finally ended, all of the children went back to the village school. They loved going to school, but when they arrived, naughty things would happen. They argued, they took each other's belongings, and they didn't listen to their teachers. They went to classes, but they didn't learn anything at all. By the end of the day, the children couldn't wait to get away from each other and safely back home. But when they got home, their parents weren't happy. The children didn't take their backpacks to school, and they didn't return with any homework. The children wouldn't listen to their parents either. They didn't have their homework, and they certainly wouldn't do their chores or help out. It was a sad and anxious village. Nobody knew what to do. The village mayor decided that something had to be done. He knew that he had to call on the old marsh crone. He sent word through the wise old crow. Part 2, Calling, a Call to Adventure. Deep in the darkest part of the nearby forest and in the north side of the largest tree was a curiously shaped opening. It was draped with thick green moss and almost hidden by verdant green ferns. Under a tiny portcullis, through an oak door, and down into the very land itself lived the old hag. She was called the Marsh Crone because she had come from the Welsh marshes. She came from a very long line of mysterious and enchanting mystics. She sat in her cavern, reading her book of spells. She never stopped studying. In fact, she was quite open to continuous learning. On this special day, the raven of the mayor tapped gingerly on the tree. When invited, the raven entered. The crone put aside her books and her thinking about thinking, and listened to the bird with understanding and empathy. She recognized the problem immediately from something that had been written in the annals of history. She knew she could apply her past knowledge to this new situation. She quietly went deeper into her cavern to call forth her allies, a shrewd dragon and the quick-witted fairy. Between the 3 great minds, they were experts on thinking interdependently. Together, the 4 companions turned themselves into clouds and winged their way like doves to the village. Part 3, School, a Gathering and a Test. In the heart of the time-worn village, outside of the desperate school, the Marsh Crone stood small, her hunched figure draped in her black cloak, woven with threads of forgotten spells. Strands of silver hair framed her wrinkled face, and her eyes, though aged, sparkled with an otherworldly wisdom and just a touch of humor. A pendant in the form of a golden apple hung from her neck, resonating with the magical energy she carried. That spirit drew the children from their classrooms and out into the cool of the morning. The Marsh Crone called out, "I am Mrs. Marsh. I am here to rescue you from the dark spell of the languishing left by COVID." The children looked on, jeering in disbelief. Mrs. Marsh's wand glowed with an ethereal light as she shared the profound goodness of the habits of mind. The dragon, with scales shimmering like molten gold in the morning sun, appeared on the rooftop. Its breath, a gentle breeze, carried powerful whispers of resilience and strength, which Mrs. Marsh absorbed into her teaching, infusing the school children with newfound courage to manage their impulsivity. Part 4, Trouble Averted, Leading from Within. The fairy, a tiny luminescent being with wings that fluttered like delicate petals, danced in the air overhead. Sprinkling fairy dust, she added a touch of enchantment, wonderment, and awe into the schoolyard, turning each lesson of the crone into a captivating experience for the children. As the dragons circled above, casting a protective shadow, and the fairies' glow illuminated the minds of the students, the school underwent a magical transformation. Mrs. Marsh, the once mysterious hag, became a beacon of hope, her appearance now radiating a subtle, magical aura that mirrored the positive changes that she brought. Part 5. Secret Weapon. Strength in Community. The village, once shrouded in despair, blossomed into a tapestry of vibrant colors and newfound joy. Parents emerged, delighted in the joyous scene, while Mrs. Marsh's journey continued. With each encounter, the dragon's golden wisdom and the fairy's ethereal grace enhanced her ability to bring the transformative magic of the habits of mind to others. Mrs. Marsh, the dragon, and the fairy continued their mission, visiting the four corners of the quaint village as they moved from home to home. Through the ancient streets, laughter echoed, and the once anxious atmosphere was replaced with the melody of children actively engaging in learning and living and happiness. Mrs. Marsh, persisting in her pursuit of positive change, worked tirelessly to instill the habits of mind in every child. She tailored her teaching to address the unique challenges each student faced, striving for accuracy and understanding their individual needs. With flexibility of thought, she adapted her approach, always questioning and posing problems to stimulate the children's minds. Communicating with clarity, Mrs. Marsh transformed abstract concepts into relatable stories and enchanting lessons. She encouraged the children to gather meaning through all their senses, creating a rich tapestry of experiences that made learning a joyful journey. Imagining and innovating, Mrs. Marsh sparked the children's creativity. She empowered them to take responsible risks in their studies, fostering a love for exploration and discovery. Slowly but surely, the village became a hub of inspiration and growth. Part 6. Enchantment. Life is magic. As the days passed, the once troubled children evolved into curious learners. They not only excelled in their studies, but also embraced responsibility, helping their parents and contributing to community. The positive change rippled through the village, touching every corner with the magical transformation. The old marsh crone, once seen as an eerie figure, had become a beloved mentor. Her hunched figure and silver hair were now seen as symbols of wisdom, and her wand glowed with the radiant light of knowledge. The dragon and their fairy continued to accompany her, their presence a reminder of the interdependence of strength, grace, and enchantment. One day, the village mayor approached Mrs. Marsh with gratitude in his eyes. "You've not only rescued our children from darkness, but revitalized our entire village. How can we ever repay you?" Mrs. Marsh smiled, her eyes twinkling with the satisfaction of a fulfilled quest. The true repayment is in seeing these children thrive. The magic lies within each one of them. Nurture it, and your village will continue to prosper. With those words, Mrs. Marsh and her magical companions bid farewell to the village. They turned back into clouds and floated serenely into the sunset. As they disappeared towards the forest, the village echoed with a newfound sense of purpose and wonder. The old marsh crone's legacy lived on in the hearts of the villagers, inspiring generations to come. Of course, this is the end of the tale, but it's the beginning of the next chapter. This month, I'll be beginning my thesis as I work towards a master's in education and digital technology. Because I'm an example of someone open to continuous learning, I too believe that the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. Beginning on January 11th, 2023, I will have started to work on my thesis question. At this time, my draft question is, in the context of childhood trauma, what are the critical social and emotional tools that significantly contribute to the successful navigation of adolescence along a continuum of mental health and the ability to meet challenges and to mitigate anxiety and depression experienced by youth? If I persevere, I anticipate my convocation will be in the autumn of 2025. Thanks for listening to my story. I'll likely use it as an introduction to the habits of mind with my study participants. My name is Wendy Marsh, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. You can follow my work on the socials at Marshucation.